What's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again with the recent announcement from SNK about their new Neo Geo Mini. I took it upon myself to actually go ahead and build one. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I actually did a review on this NeoGeo arcade stick a while ago. It's a USB arcade stick. The stick itself is about $39.99 on Amazon, and they got a bunch of them left. I'll leave links for everything I used in the description. This isn't really a build video. All I did was add a panel mount HDMI and a panel mount micro USB cable. I just used an X-Acto knife to cut out the holes for the HDMI. I can't find my Dremel tool, so I was going to use that, but I used an X-Acto knife. It took me a little while to get it straight. As for the micro USB, it went right where the USB cable came out of this thing. I'm going to take it apart. I want to show you the inside. There is a Raspberry Pi 3 in here running RetroPie 4.4. I got a Neo Geo theme from Wreckage over on the RetroPie forums. I also modified one of his splash screens to say Neo Geo Mini because that's what I'm going to be calling this thing. There's a lot of other stuff that you can add to this. External USB, you could even add a power button. But for me, I just wanted something simple I could plug into HDMI, plug my power in, and start playing my favorite Neo Geo games using this Neo Geo arcade stick. The stick doesn't work right out of the box with RetroPie. There's a simple command you need to input. I'll leave a link to a video down below. In fact, I'm going to leave a list to all the parts and everything I did to make this run. This is a panel mount USB adapter. I was going to add this on the back, but I have a lot of Bluetooth controllers, and if I ever want to do a two-player setup, they can just use the Bluetooth. Don't have to worry about cutting any extra holes here. Now there's 5 screws. You got 4 rubber feet. We're going to pop this top off here. And as you can see, it's super clean. I have the micro USB connected from a panel mount to the power on the Pi. Also have the same thing done with an HDMI cable. Now I wanted to make this HDMI cable come out straight, but the back's slanted a little bit. I could probably add a few washers. Like I mentioned, this was a USB arcade stick. I just wrapped it inside of here, plugged it into the Pi, added that command I was talking about to get it up and running in RetroPie, and it works great. The Raspberry Pi is mounted with some double-sided sticky tape to the top of the case itself. The hardest part about making this whole thing was cutting the HDMI hole. I kind of lined the HDMI hole up, and then I scored around it with an X-Acto knife. I kept scoring and scoring until I could push that little piece out. Then I used a file to clean the hole up. It's still not perfect, but I think it looks good enough for now. I opted for the Raspberry Pi 3 because I have a few of them laying around, and I didn't want to waste a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus just on Neo Geo because that's the only thing I've installed on here. Now you can play other emulators if you want to, but my main thing was making a Neo Geo Mini. This will work with any HDMI screen. I just happen to have one of these portable 15.6-inch G-Chink monitors. One of my favorite things to use. It does run on 5 volts. Just going to plug in my 2.5 amp CanaKit power supply. The Pi will boot up. I'm running RetroPie 4.4 with a custom Neo Geo theme from Wreckage. Now this theme is available for download on the RetroPie website. It's not in the ES Themes menu. It's not completely finished, but I'm sure if enough people are interested in it, Wreckage might take the time to finish it up for us. I think it looks amazing. So I have Emulation Station booting directly into my Neo Geo section here. I'm just going to turn the sound up so we can hear it a little better. If I'm not mistaken, I have 174 Neo Geo games here. We're going to test out Blazing Star. We'll just start the emulator. I downloaded a splash screen from Wreckage and I modified it to say Neo Geo Mini. You can make your own or you can download the one I made. I'll leave a link in the description for you. We'll boot right in here. Also got bezel set up just for Neo Geo MVS. I want to make a modified bezel here for Neo Geo Mini. This is actually acting like an AES the way I have it set up. No insert coin or anything like that. This is what I could find that would work straight out of the box without having to make one custom. So since I did my review on this Neo Geo X stick, I've been using it a lot, specifically for Neo Geo. Now, if you want to play competitively with Street Fighter games and things like that, this is definitely not the stick for you. But if you're wanting to play some Neo Geo games, I definitely recommend getting one of these. Neo Geo emulation on the Raspberry Pi 3 is really great. I don't get any dips under 59 FPS on any game that I've tested. Even after a few hours of gameplay and no heatsink on this Pi 3, Neo Geo just keeps trucking at 60 FPS. So this is a great option. And you can always add more games. So I got just Neo Geo, but you could do FBA, SNES, NES. You could add tens of thousands of games to the setup here. I only needed to use a 16GB micro SD card to hold everything, and I still got room to add more emulators. We're going to test out another game here. Super Tag Battle. I've actually never tried this game. I need to remap these buttons correctly. They're a little off from the original Neo Geo arcade stick here, but you could get used to it any way you set it up. I always get asked about this monitor I'm using. This is a 15.6-inch portable monitor by G-Chink. They're about $300. It's really not worth it unless you need something on the go that'll run on 5 volts. This model here is actually the touchscreen model. It's got HDMI, it's got sound out, it's an IPS display, and I think it looks really great. The big draw about this monitor is it runs off of 5 volts and you can use a small battery bank to power it. I've never played this game. I'm actually trying to find some special moves here, but they're not working like Street Fighter combos, so I'm not really into this. I'm sure there are a lot of special moves in this game, I've just never tried it before. I have my hotkey set up as select, so if I press start and select, it'll bring me back into emulation station. So I really like this Neo Geo theme. I hope Wreckage finishes it. As you can see, we still got the RetroPie menu if you need to get in here, set up Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but I have it set up to automatically boot into Neo Geo. Whenever I hear Neo Geo, I always think of Metal Slug. One of my favorites being Metal Slug 4, so I'm going to test it out here. We'll just play through half of the first stage. So I have heard complaints about this stick here, but I'm going to show you right now that it works perfectly fine for Neo Geo games. I haven't had any trouble at all playing these Metal Slug games with this arcade stick. So the Pi is mounted right where my left palm is laying on the arcade stick itself. It does get a little warm, so you could add a heatsink if you like to. I don't need it for performance, but I might add one just to keep it a little cooler down there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a quick look at my Neo Geo Mini Arcade Stick build. It's really simple to put something like this together. Now, I didn't add an extra power button or an extra USB in so we could plug something else in, but you can always add them. There's plenty of room up top here. So like I mentioned, I'm going to leave links down below. There'll be a software link list to everything I use to get this up and running, and there'll also be a hardware list down below. Everything can be bought on Amazon for fairly cheap, even the Raspberry Pi 3. I think it's a cool alternative to hold us over until the new Neo Geo Mini comes out, and even then, a lot of us might not be able to get our hands on them, just like the NES Mini. I'm pretty sure there will be shortages. Nintendo is way bigger than Neo Geo, so I don't see them making more than Nintendo did with the NES Mini or the SNES Mini. So you might be hard pressed to get one for a while, or you might have to pay scalper prices. I really hope it doesn't come down to that, but looking at the secondary market for the Neo Geo CD or the Neo Geo AES, prices are outrageous, and it's just so much to get a whole collection of Neo Geo going. That's actually the main reason I go the emulation route. I would love to collect all the Neo Geo stuff, but I can never afford it. That's just how it's going to be. I want to play the games. Now, I love collecting, don't get me wrong, but my main focus is playing these games. That's why I do it. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you could, hit that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you're interested in building something like this. They are affiliate links, so they do help the channel out with no extra charge to you. And like always, thanks for watching.